Good day, everyone. Welcome back to Reading and Writing. So for today, we'll be moving on with our third lesson, which is brainstorming and graphic organizers. For today's lesson, we will be discussing the different advantages and disadvantages of using these two techniques in organizing information, as well as what do these words actually stand for, or how do we define them. Now let's take a look at this picture first. Reading and writing could be frustrating for everyone, as it is often not an easy task. Despite a few or most of you doing it on a regular basis, sometimes it could be difficult for you. Okay, there would be a lot of information to process. However, there are different techniques, approaches, or even methods that as a reader and as a writer, one may use to organize the information that we have gathered. And in a way, we can use these techniques as well to accomplish what is our desire or goal in doing or engaging reading and writing. Similarly, we can also use these different techniques to improve our writing and our reading craft. So there are actually three different techniques that we can use. The first one is brainstorming, which we will be discussing today. Similarly, we also have graphic organizers as well as the process of outlining. So for today, we'll focus on the first two techniques, which are brainstorming and the use of graphic organizers. Let's go to brainstorming first. What is brainstorming? It is defined as the process of writing down specific topics from different sources. So basically, what you hear, the information that you have gathered, more often than not, you write it down on a piece of paper, on a blackboard, or simply you just take note of those information. All right, now we have this man. His name is Alex Fakney Osborne. And in 1953, he was the first one to coin the term brainstorming. He used this term on his book, which is entitled Applied Imagination. So according to Osborne, brainstorming could be defined as a group or individual creative technique by which efforts are made to find a conclusion for a specific problem by gathering a list of ideas spontaneously, which these ideas are actually contributed by the members of that particular group. Okay, so basically, the information is coming from a lot of sources, and one or maybe two persons could jot down all of these ideas and combine them all together, or consolidate all of these ideas together. According to him as well, there are different types of brainstorming, or there are different techniques as well to doing brainstorming. The first one is idea listing. Second is idea mapping. Third is cubing. The fourth one is free writing. And the last is researching. All of these could be classified under brainstorming. Let's go to the first one, idea listing. When we say idea listing, it simply involves listing down ideas about a particular topic. So basically, you have one topic, one specific topic that you want to gather information or collect information for, and then you just simply list them down. List down supporting details about it or ideas about that particular topic. Take, for example, this one. So we have unemployment. Under unemployment, there are several ideas that we can associate with the word or with the term. So unemployment here is basically what we call or what we refer to as the topic, whereas all of these little ideas or these words associated to unemployment, that these are things that we could think of every time that the word unemployment comes up. This could be your ideas. All right, the next one is idea mapping. As for idea mapping, it's simply a visual representation of your ideas and how are these ideas connected to one another. This could also be referred to as web clustering. Okay, or like this. All right, so let's move on to the next one, which is cubing. In cubing, an idea is examined from 6 different viewpoints. Okay, similar to the shape of a box or a shape of a cube, it has 6 different sides. So in cubing, there is one particular idea that you want to look into, and you actually ask yourself different questions to produce information about that particular idea. All right. So, what are those 6 distinct viewpoints? The first one is describe. When we say describe, you just ask yourself, what is it? What is this particular idea about? The second one is compare. Obviously, when you compare, you give similarities and differences. Is it like something else, or is it unlike another idea? Is it similar to one idea, or is it different from another thing? So you just um, come up with similarities and differences of that particular idea to other existing ideas. The third one is associate. So when you say associate, you ask yourself the question, what does this particular topic remind you of? Does it remind you of a specific idea, a specific concept? Okay, so you try to answer that one. The fourth one is analyze. What are the parts of this topic? How can you discuss this topic? How can you divide the sub ideas or subtopics under this one big topic? Okay. So I try to identify its parts for this fourth viewpoint. The fifth one is apply. In application, you think of ways how that particular topic can be helpful for others. How can it be helpful to you? Why are you even looking at that particular idea in the first place? So think of the ways that that particular topic can be utilized. Okay? And the sixth one is you try to argue. Is there any way wherein you can support that particular topic? Okay, and when we say supporting, you try to give evidence that this topic is relevant, this topic should be discussed. Okay, why are you discussing it in the first place? So you try to support that claim. Okay, and if you are in opposition to it, if you're trying to oppose that particular topic, then you should also state that one as well. So this is an example that I found on the internet via Google image search. A simple Google image search of cubing can lead you to this one. All right. The next one is free writing. And when we say free writing, it's simply writing what comes into your mind. Okay? There are no rules that you have to follow. You just continuously write without any inhibitions, without thinking if you're doing it wrong, you're doing it right, and so on and so forth. So as for free writing, or as free writers, we don't mind any errors in spelling and grammar. We're not very particular with that. The main goal of free writing is just to put into writing what you have in mind. Okay, because that's a very idea of brainstorming. Whatever comes into your mind, you put it down, you list it down. Okay, so in free writing, no rules are followed. You just simply put into words, put into writing what you have in mind. Okay, just like this particular text. Okay, it's entitled A Memorable Moment. But if you can read it, there's really no structure to it. There's no definite structure to it. It's arranged in a way that's it's discussed. The memorable moment is discussed by the author in a way that as it happens. Okay, so as how the writer or the author of the text experienced it. Okay, what are the things that he or she noticed during that particular memorable moment? Okay, and it doesn't necessarily contain lengthy sentences or full sentences. Those, it only contains some of it are actually just simply words. Some of them are phrases, some of them are complete sentences. So there's no rule that was followed when the author of the text wrote this one. Okay, that's a very idea of free writing. Okay, the last one for brainstorming is what we often do as students, as teachers, okay, as part of the academy, we often do this one. Okay, and it's called obviously researching. So when we say researching, it's in the terms of brainstorming, researching is simply defined as going to the library or even checking out websites, because now we cannot go to the library. We have to utilize the internet to collect information or to gather data. Okay, so you can check out websites, and then after doing that, it's not the simple act of just looking into it and just reading them down, or just reading them, checking them out. Okay, it's also trying to make a list or a map of the ideas that you have gathered from that particular website, or from that particular reference, from that particular source of information. Okay, so when we say researching, you also list down the ideas that you have gathered. Okay, that's what makes it an example of brains, or a type of brainstorming. Okay, so I hope I made that clear to everyone. Okay, what are the different advantages of brainstorming? Why do people engage in brainstorming? The first one is it encourages creative thinking. Like what I have mentioned earlier, when it comes to brainstorming, what comes into your mind, you just list it down, even if you think that it's not related, but it's in your mind, you made that association that it could be connected, or you thought of that particular idea as you were looking at the topic. Okay, so there are no bounds. That's why it instills in us a sense of creative thinking. Okay, next is that when we do, or when we engage in brainstorming, all the ideas are accepted. There are no right or wrong answers, because you cannot actually determine if you cannot determine right away if it's connected or not, because an association has been made in your mind. Okay, so all ideas are basically accepted. The third one is it makes everyone part of the team. So when you do brainstorming as a group, everyone takes a part in it. Everyone could engage in it. You could interact with one another. Okay, you could ask for the opinion, what the thoughts, the ideas that they have. Okay, so that makes them feel part of whatever they, or whatever you are doing. The next one is it is exciting and easy. But we'll focus on the easy part, because like what I have mentioned earlier, when we do brainstorming, when we engage in brainstorming, there are basically no rules to follow. There are no rules that we have to consider, that we have to think about, because whatever comes into your mind, you just list them down, you just say it out loud. Okay, so it's very exciting, because you might even come up with certain ideas that are related to the topic that you are brainstorming about. Okay, that you haven't even thought of yourself. Okay, so as a group, maybe you could come up with a greater definition, or a greater interpretation of that particular topic. Okay, so that is what could make it very, very exciting. All right, but there are also disadvantages to brainstorming. The first one is that brainstorming only works best when everyone in the room has something to say. If it is just you, then it might be difficult. If the information is only coming from one person, then it might be difficult to actually come up with a variety of interpretations, a variety, an assortment of ideas, an assortment of thoughts. Okay? So, in brainstorming as well, without strict control or a leader present, or at least someone taking charge, the group may take a long time to get the solution. So, someone from the group, especially if you're working in a group, someone from the group might need to step up and be a facilitator of the brainstorming process. Next, group with a large members, or a large number of members rather, will not be effective. Okay, so there's a typographical error with that. But when we say large number of members, probably like around more than 20 or more than 50 students, or 50 people in that particular group, brainstorming could be a little bit difficult for them. Okay, because not a lot of them, or a lot of them may not participate. Some of them may be may struggle with sharing the information because there are way too many people speaking all at the same time. So it could be challenging when there are a large number of or a large group of people, okay, in the group. Next, or the last one, people with high emotions are not allowed to participate in brainstorming. Why is that? Because sometimes their emotions tend to take over. And when their emotions tend to take over the brainstorming process, it's they tend to be selfish as well. So all of the information comes from that one person or those people with high emotions. And sometimes when the rest of the group disagrees with what they have to say, then that could be very problematic. Okay? So it might break the harmony within the group. All right? Okay, so I guess we can have part two of this one because the topic of brainstorming is quite long.